next topic, man. Hey, Texans versus the Bears. What do we feel about that game, man? What are y'all thoughts on that? I know that's y'all team, so tell me what's up.
I like the way the Texans look. Honestly, I think they did. I mean, I think they did a good job, just defensively, which I knew that wasn't a question coming into the season. But I liked how they look personally. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah.
TK thinks. That's his team, so he gonna hold them to a higher standard than I think me. I mean, Charles too, but I'm sure TK is
Huh?
gonna hold them to a higher standard. That's what he said, bro. I can't. I gotta go with what he said. That's what he told me.
I,
Charles,
I feel
Charles,
like
shit, bro. Charles is not no damn Texan fan. Don't believe the hype, and that's
from
it's ridiculous.
TK, if you wasn't there when goddamn Savage and all them other
I
niggas was
was.
there,
That's the
I
thing.
don't
I was.
know. He you know how
Man,
Tyler
let's get
is,
into
bro.
the meat and bones of this discussion, man. That offense, we wasn't clicking last night
No, it wasn't.
whatsoever. I mean, CJ, he had flashes where he looked great, and I mean great. I mean improvising, making throws. I mean 23 for 36, 260, and a tud. That's cool. Like I'm not gonna sit here and go crazy over that because once again I know my quarterback. Like I've seen him play at higher levels, being more efficient. But I mean, Chicago, I think we can all leave and give a first assessment that Chicago is real. Like their defense is real. Like that's not no pushover. They're not no slouch. Like
I try to tell you that. I
yeah,
try to
you
tell
did
you that.
sure. They're
I
for
told you
real.
that.
They're not. They don't come to play. Montez Sweat. What's his name? Taylor. They got Taylor from the Seahawks. I
Nigga
mean,
Terrell Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
they
Man,
got
them.
guys on
Boy.
defense, bro. And they make plays. But
Mm-hmm.
I think
Jalen Johnson. Yeah.
I think we couldn't get into our run game, so that kind of messed up the flow of everything. I think we were we kind of got a little too antsy with our run game from week one, and I mean it's safe to say Josh Jacob ran for $160 on that Colts defense, so the Colts defense just bad in general. So I don't think we could really take too much stock into our run game after that week, but not being able to get into it, and then when obviously little slimmers of hope with our running backs getting involved and stuff, Joe Mixon gets injured on the drop tackle. I mean that was infuriating. I mean, no penalty, no review, no anything. I'm like, golly. I mean, they were missing stuff for the Texans all night. I mean, holding calls. I mean, you name it. We getting penalty after penalty. We had 12 penalties for over 100 yards. Like, we're not going to win any ball. We're not going to win meaningful ball games against quality opponents with that level of undiscipline. Like we have to be disciplined. Like over 110 yards of penalties, you're not going to beat good teams. And we're just lucky that Chicago had a rookie quarterback because one of these veteran quarterbacks would have made us pay, quite frankly. But nevertheless, our defense was great. I mean, they came out there to play. Stingley, at first you had me scared for a second because, DJ Moore was getting a little busy. And I'm just like, dang, we done gave you all this credit. What you going to do? But sure enough, the game, I mean, the Twitter GMs and stuff out there that thinks that a receiver making a catch or if you're not making a tackle, I mean, you got fried the whole night. You didn't watch the game, stupid. He put the clamps on that boy. I mean, holding the top, I don't know what we want to give DJ Moore. Do we give him 15? He's a top 15 receiver, respectfully. Do we put him in that mix?
I think so.
He had a top
Yeah.
50, top 50 receiver under 60 yards. I mean, it's safe to say he didn't have his normal day at the office. So, I mean, he did his job. Stingley did his job. Nico Collins. We need to get into the meat and bones of that discussion. Nico Collins is a top 8 receiver. I'm tired of being nice. I'm sorry. Nico Collins is a top 5 receiver. I mean, what are we not looking at on film? I mean, he just went out there on I want to say a really good Chicago defense, not a great. I mean, I don't even know because, quite frankly, they look pretty good to me in these first 2 weeks. But he went on that Chicago defense and had 8 catches for $135 and a tud, looking like a man amongst boys. I mean, I know I'm a Texan fan. Cheers. I know you might think I'm delusional because I have so much faith in my guy, but the faith I have in the guy that I'm talking about is the number one leading receiver in the NFL right now, 252 yards. You can go look that up on NFL.com, ESPN, any one of your statistician sites. Nico Collins is number one in the league after two weeks, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. He's a beast. He's a man amongst boys. He's 6'4", 215, running 4.44. I'm not gonna do the 4.3 because that's crazy. But I mean, he looks like an alien out there. He's simply uncoverable. When the play break down, he's just finding the open spot on the field and he's making the catch and turning up for yak every single time. And it's just impressive. Like, even if you're not a Texan fan or you're a Texan hater, you have to tip your hat off to that level of talent. Like, me and Charles, they're blessed for him to be on our squad, that we get to watch him every Sunday, because that's how good of a level of talent that he is. And he just don't get the national media attention because we don't have any primetime game for him to truly disclose his talent for the world. We're always playing at 12 o'clock when we competed with 7, 8 other teams, and shoot, it may be a little more marquee matchups that they're not tuning in to them damn Texans. That's the first time since 2019 that the whole wide world was locked in on the Houston Texans playing football, and it looked amazing. It looked amazing. It felt great for me being a Texan fan that our guys got their proper due. Jalen Petrie played like his head was on fire. Henry Toa, he played amazing. 13 tackles.
Yeah, he had a great game, bro. Great game. That's why I said defensively they look good. To me, that's why I started. Like, defenses, they really look good to me. They showed up defensively.
D'Amico Ryan know what he doing with them linebackers. And it's crazy because we don't got one of our better linebackers. And Christian Harris, he's been on IR dealing with what is it, Charles quad or ankle? It's something of the lower region, but he's gonna be back after 4 weeks. And then we get into Nico Autry coming back after 6 weeks because he was suspended off of PEDs. So I'm like, we don't have our full squad, and we're looking like that on defense. We just got to bring it up on the offensive end. I mean, Tank Dell, my boy, we know who you are. Schiff knows who you are. He knows how good you are. He's a Texans hater.
I'm not a Texans hater, bro.
I
I've literally said publicly that y'all have a good we're gonna have a different conversation in the next 2 to 3 years, but y'all aren't Super Bowl ready yet. It's ready yet is like, I think, is the word that everybody keeps missing. Like, can anybody find a definition of yet? Can anybody find a definition of yet, please? Omari, can you put it up?
Man,
like, I don't think they understand what yet means. I said yet. I think like I don't get it. What's wrong with me saying not ready yet?
It's okay. We gonna turn you up in January, but nevertheless, man.
Y'all know.
Tank Dell, man. I know everybody, all our Texan fans, we're complaining about him and distributing targets, but the targets he is having, he's not capitalizing on them whatsoever. I mean, he had a sideline pass. CJ Stroud threw it on the money and he dropped it. He just quite frankly dropped it. In the middle of the field, CJ Stroud improvises, throws it on the money, and it hits him right in the face mask. Like, I love Tank. Tank is a great receiver. He's done wonders ever since he's been in Houston, and it's a reason why people give us the title, the best receiver core in the league. But you have to capitalize on your opportunity. Like, it's no excuse. Like, you was I guess you was the top 3 receiver in the league. Not like top 3, not 1, 2, 3, but I'm saying he was a top number 3 receiver in the league. He was number 1. And quite frankly, he's been looking very pedestrian these last 2 games. Outside of his trick play ability and, getting around the edges on these handoffs and reverses, but in the receiving game, he's been pretty much a non-factor. Outside of Diggs too. I mean, Diggs, he's not. I mean, I don't. With Jalen Johnson shadowing him last night, because I didn't really see too much of Diggs.
Well, I mean, I think you gotta take into account that it is week 2 for a lot of these players. I mean, like, it's the second week, bro. Honestly, I think when we start getting deeper into the season, I think then you'll have a better, kind of analysis and see where your team really is. I think a lot of that, we got to take that into account too. It is week 2, but we also see that some teams, we know they're not going to be in it. So just take that into account also.
And that's a great point you made as well. I'm glad you said that because it's hard for me because of obviously the talent that we brought in that we're obviously holding ourselves up to high standards to be like, okay, like you got all this talent, put it together. And it's like in 2 weeks, you expect training camp and preseason, all the reps, you come into the season guns are blazing, but that's just not what happens. I mean, you're going against your guys. Now you're going against another team with a different scheme and people that can actually touch your quarterback and your other players. So, like you said, it is week 2, so I don't want to overreact or anything of that nature. But I mean, defense is very encouraging. Offense, we need to get it together. Hopefully, Joe Mixon is okay, and that hip drop. I hope. Who did the hip drop? It wasn't T.J. Edwards, huh?
I honestly don't remember.
It was T.J. Edwards. I hope he either gets a significant fine or a suspension because it's literally illegal. Like
Facts.
it is illegal.
Yeah. Was it intentional? I didn't see
Yes,
it. Was
it was 100% intentional. Like that's my biggest thing too. You're a linebacker. If you can't make a tackle on a running back, despite how strong they are, you don't deserve to be in the NFL because your main job is to lay your hat on a hat and bring them down. So if you can't do that, why are you playing in the NFL? Why are you a linebacker? Why do you have to rely on a hip drop? And especially when Joe Mixon is what we give him 220, 220 maybe. Shoot, that linebacker walking around at 250, 260. That's unacceptable. The league needs to take precaution fast because obviously you're not sending a good message if you allow that to happen on national television. Just like, oh, okay, like he did a hip drop, but we're not going to give him any type of, punishment for doing something that we literally banned from everybody in the league. So we need to take action for sure.
Yeah, for them to enforce that and literally place that in the rule book, just for them to like not essentially throw a flag on that play. It's like, what are we doing? Like what Jamar Chase was complaining about in Kansas City, to me, that was honestly just a regular tackle. I don't think that was a hip drop tackle. He ain't land on his extremities or nothing like that. But that right there with Joe Mixon, yeah, that's the definition, like textbook. You want to look in a dictionary and find that in the rule book, that is what you will see as an example. But I'll start off with the cons, like the bad things I've seen from the Texans. The offense was very stagnant. I mean, we were seeing all these exotic shifts in the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter, but that was like non-existent in the third. The run game today, or yesterday, I should say, was a non-factor. Like we couldn't establish nothing much. Joe Mixon couldn't really get going prior to his injury. Cam Akers seemed like he was going to pick up the load until, that fumble inside the 5-yard line when we could have put the game on ice way earlier than intended. Too many times we settled for 3. We went on impressive drives that ended up being rather long field goals for Fairbairn. And then as many times as we did get penalties and we got, what we consider bad breaks for us, I mean, like, a lot of penalties is a lot of penalties. We can't have that. Like, no team in the NFL can survive multiple weeks while being undisciplined. I mean, like, as much as I like to see the physicality from Alshire when he went on that sideline and turning into Floyd Mayweather for a couple of seconds, hey, we can't have that. But here's the thing that gives me a lot of promise with the Texans. The way I see this week compared to last week, it's a tale of two cities. It's a tale of two games. It's a tale of two styles of play that lead to the same result. The first game, we was complaining about the big play ability on the defensive side of the ball and basically getting bailed out by how electric our offense was with how many big plays we was getting in the ground game and in the passing game when we needed on timely 3rd and 4th downs. This week, we couldn't essentially do much outside of the first half on offense. And we got saved by the defense. And just how electric our defense was is an understatement for me to just sit up here and act like it was just, relatively good. Fam, if it wasn't for Kalen Bullock getting that PI on that 3rd down inside the red zone, they wouldn't have even gotten a touchdown. And that's just me being quite frankly honest. 7 sacks on the day is incredible. And I don't really want to care how bad the O-line play was for Chicago. I mean, 7 sacks in the NFL is 7 sacks in the NFL. as bad as Carolina is, I mean, they ain't even given that up in the past 2 games, let alone in 1 game. So we got to tip our hat to the D line and the linebackers as well. Aziz was
Hey
playing.
Charles, real quick, do you think that the loss of Juice Scruggs, do you think that played a factor in why our protection wasn't as efficient as it normally, or not? I wouldn't say normally, but how it was from last week to this week.
I think so, because it's continuity with the O-line. I mean, you get reps with the ones rather than the twos because, you have a level of trust and communication with those ones. I mean, we've all played sports. You'd rather play with the starters rather than the guys that's coming to relieve you because you have a certain level of expectation for those guys as opposed to the guys that's on the bench. And it's no disrespect, but I mean, that just comes with the territory. But for the defensive side of the ball, I told you about Henry Toto. It was going to be fine. Harris was gone. I was like, I got faith in my boy. And he showed it, led the team in tackles, solo tackles. He was a tackling force, man.
And he was fast. Like, he was fast to the ball. Like, you could like see it on the screen. Like, all our linebackers are like that. We don't got no slow pokes no more. We got the ones that
they going, they plugging.
They hustling to that ball. They ready to crash.
Yeah, and they filled them. I'm looking at the run fist. I'm looking in the stands because I was at the game on Sunday. And when I tell you Aziz and Henry were filling those holes on the run, oh my goodness. I mean, our run defense is something special. And we got 2 weeks worth of footage to kind of validate that. Say what you want about DeAndre Swift, but Jonathan Taylor is like that. And for us to shut him down the way that we did, it just further validates that, in my opinion.
Hey, Charles, 12 rushes, 103 for Jonathan Taylor yesterday against Green Bay. So it's safe to say that he is still one of them backs. It just, our defense it's really
good.
like.
Yeah. And then compared to what he did to us in week 18, I mean, it's night and day. Oh, my. I thought he was going – there was parts of me that was fearing for my life watching that game. And I think you could say the same, too, just off of his shoulders alone, or rather his legs. Derek Stingley Jr. and the locksmith Omari, they tried to take one away from you, my boy, but you put the ball in your hands literally by getting you another one. So shout out to you for getting your first pick.
That first pick was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. That first pick, the over the shoulder catch, I said, oh my goodness.
That was elite.
Mm-hmm.
That was elite.
Yeah, but hey, he made sure that he got him one though, and it's great discipline by finding some work rather than looking at Caleb Williams scrambling and starting to panic. That's elite level of play by a defensive player.
Right.
Nico Collins, you already mentioned it, so it ain't really much for me to say that. I mean, first in receiving,
top 5 receiver. You start off with top 5 receiver Nico Collins, and then continue.
He's not a top 5 receiver, but we can continue on. We'll talk about that.
Hey man, sooner or later, the blind got to get vision. But
hey, that was sweet.
I've never known a blind man to see again, but okay.
Hey, either you see in the real world or you see God. But on some real stuff though, you got a high level for CJ Stroud, a high level of expectations for him, and I do too. So, I mean, he played fine, but he did win the turnover battle. He scared the hell out of me with that one interception. Oh, my God, but thank goodness they called that back. The turnover battle, while we did give one up for the first time this season, we did win it. Well, not the first time because we did get a punt block, but on the offensive side of the ball, Akers did fumble inside the 5, but we did get it. We didn't win that battle. It's an ugly win. It's a terrible win for us because we did not play at our best. But you'd rather clean up the errors that you made as a unit with that big fat W on your chest rather than an L. And then to make matters even better, Cleveland, shout out to you knocking off the Jags.
Like I told you,
Green Bay, shout out to you knocking off the Colts. New York, shout out to you knocking off the Titans with a comeback.
Like I told you,
you're the only team in the NFL with a 2-game lead in the division, and we got a divisional win already. So literally, hopefully the remainder of the season, every team in our division got to play catch up. It's going to be a sneaky good matchup between us and Minnesota. So we definitely got a lot of things to be cleaned up, but I like what I was able to see. I just wish that we can now package everything from game 1 and game 2 into a complete game of domination from the offense and the defensive side of the ball.
I like that. Sure, y'all look good on defense, offense, a little stagnant, but other than that, man, y'all look pretty damn good to me. I like y'all defense. Y'all boys got them headhunters, and y'all got that nice ass secondary.